Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. First of all, I just need to take a minute or two just to revise the stuff we have studied in our previous lecture. It was all about the type of households. In households, we last time I told you about there are three different kind of households. Still, there are a lot, but still, according to our syllabus, we are focused on three different kind of households. You can say different people living together, like hostel life, and couples living together without child, and couples who are living but they don't want to start the marriage life. So there are so many different kind of family types. I told you it's nuclear family, it's extended nuclear family, it's horizontal nuclear family, extended family, it's vertical extended family, beanpole family, modified nuclear family. It's all about, especially in modified, we used to know. You keep on contacting with your relatives, with the family members through social media. So still, it is considered to be modified nuclear family. It is not necessary that people need to live together closely. Are the premises. So and then we talk about the change, or you can say a clear change. Why people don't like to marry. There are so many factors which are involved. Why people decided to have alternatives. First of all, it's cohabitation. Most of the people in UK and the modern developed countries, they are adopting this kind of living style, cohabitation. Then we talk about the Afro-Caribbean black women. How they accentuate and they feel comfortable while living in matrifocal kind of living. Where the mother, the grandmother, and the children, they live together, and it is very common. Even they migrate to UK, still they are observing, they're practicing the same lifestyle. And then we talk about a trend in UK, especially why people having different kind of lifestyle. We talk a lot about the Indian women's. They like to have part-time jobs. Then we talk about Pakistani and Bangladeshi women's. After marriage or after childbirth, they simple quit the jobs if they are doing job. Then we talk about, as I mentioned, in uh, Afro Caribbean women. We talk about them, and they were even after migration to UK, they still practicing the same kind of lifestyle which they are observing while living in Caribbeans or West Indies. So today our debate starts from the debate about the extent of family diversity and the dominance of the nuclear family. So today's article is basically all about, I mean, the family diversity. What are the factors which are involved in the family diversity? And one can say that it's a debate. Basically, one can say that the nuclear family has the dominance over all the different kind or the structure of the family. So today in many countries, family and household structures are arguably more complex, broken up, and diverse than ever before. We have seen how there is a wide range of family types in the past and how there is a greater diversity. However, the extent of these changes can be exaggerated. Many people live in the nuclear families and other aim to do so. For example, they may hope to find an ideal partner to marry and have children with. Media representations of the family also often assume that the nuclear family is still the main or only kind of family in many parts of the world. Trends such as cohabitation and same-sex couple remain relatively rare, often because they are still strongly disapproved of, for example, for religious reasons. Greater diversity has come about three main reasons. Social change, such as relatively easy access to divorce, have led to greater number of reconstituted single parent family and single person households. Changing social attitudes, such as greater social acceptance of single parent and same sex family structure, have also resulted in structural diversity. Then, increased life expectancy, more active lifestyles, and changes to the welfare state has created change within family structures. These include a new style of grandparenting, in which grandparents play a greater role in the care of the children. So, according to this paragraph, what is the basic reasons we are talking about the why? we can see a great diversity in the family structure. So basically, three different reasons were there for the diversity of the family. First of all, it's a very easy way of divorce. So very easy way divorce means, I mean, it is people feel comfortable by leaving their partners if they are not satisfied in any perspective. So simply leave their partner, and they got two choices. For instance, live like lone parent. I mean, it's acceptable. Even having household, a lone household, then they are comfortable. And even it is possible that after breaking up, after having divorce with their spouse, one can say that they can simply uh, engage in a reconstituted family. Then we talk about the life expectancy, as the government has become a welfare state, giving a lot of benefits to the old people, pension, uh, best medical facilities in the developed countries. So after having such kind of facilities, when people tend, again, they have a chance to live alone. They can even go with for the reconstituted family. So this is, it's all about, you can say. And second, and lastly, one can say that it's not no more a social stigma. I mean, for instance, you get divorced and you are supposed to be ashamed of it. Why you are not able to work with your partner. So all those things, and in my previous lectures, I keep on saying it's all about secularization at the same time. I mean, because we are not giving that much importance. We are not more concerned about the religious doctrines or the morality. So, I mean, we have so many alternatives. People live in, for instance, cohabitation. It is now turning to be very popular in Europe, because I mean, one can say that it's the division of labor, it's division of financial assistance, and so much. You've got a lot of opportunities to have both for male and female while living in cohabitation. So, I mean, there are so many factors which simply reflect the diversity of the family structure, and having alternatives make it more easier to go this way or this way. These trends have led to what Brennan calls the beanpole family. Beanpole families arise in developed societies that have low or declining birth rates and increasing life expectancy. With fewer children being born, horizontal intra-generational family extensions are weak. At the same time, high life expectancies led to stronger vertical extensions between grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren. Another striking feature of the contemporary societies is the growth of the lone parents household. Beaumont, for example, notes that nearly one third of the British household contain only one person. Almost, we can say one third. The second most common household structure after two-person households. Right, over the past 50 years, one-person household have increased around 2.5 times up from 12% in 1961. Some of the reasons for this are why people love to have lone parents, or they love to live uh, one person household. There are more older people living alone after their partner has died. There are more middle aged people, usually men, living alone who have moved out of the family home after a divorce. More people choose to live alone and can afford to do so. For women, it has become acceptable to stay single rather than marry, which at any one time would have been extremely difficult for financial and other reasons. More people have a university education, which can often mean moving out of the family home and not returning. This tends towards more people living on their on may slow down if there is a shortage of suitable, cheaper housing. So, I mean, there is a reason. There are two reasons we talk about. First, one can say that if we talk about the life expectancy, so the life expectancy give rise to the beanpole families. What is beanpole family? I mentioned in my previous lecture. It's all. I mean, for instance, in early age, you people tie the knots, and you have children in the very beginning. I mean, there are two different dimensions we have in it. For instance, if people have a lot of kids in early age, obviously one can say that after the life expectancy, and you people had a good medical facilities, you got married in early age, it means you have a more chance to produce more kids. So if they go with the more kids, more labor force, one can say it's all about the horizontal beanpole family, which is not practicing more often. On the other hand, beanpole vertical family are extensive families, or those families, again, get married in early age, and they are living at a place with 3 to 4 generations. You can say grandparents, then parents, then children, and then grandchildren. So after having this is one of the diversity we can have according to Brennan, in developed countries, especially China and Japan. Last time I told you about that. The second thing, striking feature about the increase in household. So there are still reasons why there is an increase of a single unworked person household in developed countries. So first reason is again the life expectancy. I mean, government are given a lot of good medical facilities to their old people, aging people, so they are happy to live outside the family in old homes. They are happy to live. So this is one of the reasons. Secondly, I mean, obviously after breakup, divorce, or the death of the spouse, one would like, if he is loyal, she or he is loyal, he likes to remain alone. This is the second reason. Then third reason was, one can say that it's all about they like to have a career building. So once they simply go with the university education, higher education, simply try to concentrate on the professional education and on their profession. So one can say that, I mean, the person is reluctant. For instance, if after completing his goals reaches to 35 to 40, so I mean those kind of people like to live alone rather to establishing a family, because sometimes they simply consider it's too late to establish a family. So these are the reasons for single or one person households, especially in UK. So this is, we have, for instance, it was a debate, the starting with the diversity. So we talk about the why, what is the reason behind the diversity of the family and the households. Now we take a new look, the new right and the postmodernist perspective on the family diversity. So as I mentioned earlier, it is like, for instance, starting of industrialization is again a type of family change. Then urbanization, then modernism, then postmodernism. So right now, I mean, we are living in postmodernism, where you can say social media has simply revolutionized our planet Earth, and we got so much opportunities. No more worries about the extremism, about the religious talk lines. No more thinking about the typical morality, about the family structure. No more consciousness, awareness about the primary socialization. So there are so many factors while living in this world, in this period specifically, with science and social mobilization and social networking. So we got a new dimension about the family diversity. So it is all about, the new right is all about the postmodernist perspective on the family diversity. The new right perspective is based on the idea that the traditional nuclear family consisting of two heterosexual married adults with clearly defined gender roles and relationship is the institution best equipped to prove the base on which all other social relationships are built. For the new right, diversity represents a family breakdown that has significant consequences for both individual members and the wider social relationship. Stable nuclear family relationship provides emotional and psychological benefits to family members. In return, these benefit society such as whole, because each adult partner play a role that involves both personal sacrifice and commitment to other. Secondly, from this perspective, the idea that all type of family structures are equal is wrong, because it challenges the moral commitment to other that lies at the heart of social responsibility. The new right endorses social policies that encourage beneficial family structures and discourage forms such as single parenthood, and are regarded as damaging to both individual and communities. Morgan's argument against cohabitation, for example, illustrates this interpretation of family diversity as a source of social problems by suggesting that cohabitation suffers from important flaws when compared to marriage. Cohabitation relationships are more unstable and less likely to last than marriages are. The sexual behavior of cohabitation people is more like that of a single people. They may have other partners as well. Cohabitants with children who marry are more likely to divorce. Many cohabiting women will become single parents. The relationship is more likely to be cruel or abusive. Both women and children are at greater risk of physical and sexual abuse than they would be in the marriage relationship. More generally, new right approaches argue that family and relationship diversity is undesirable and dysfunctional. This can lead to a moral chaos in which some behaviors, such as abortion, practices that take no account of the right of the unborn produce morally undesirable results. A counter to family breakdown, therefore, is family uniformity. A traditional heterosexual nuclear family is seen as more desirable than other family structures because it provides social, economic, and psychological stability. Family continuity and successful primary socialization. In such an environment, traditional family values can be emphasized and reinforced, creating a sense of individual and social responsibility that forms a barrier against what the new right sees as selfishness. Horwitz argue that within the traditional family, children and adults learn moral values and that take into the wider social relationship. Traditional nuclear families, therefore, are seen as a vital source of both individual happiness and social stability because they have a moral core that involves caring for family members, taking responsibility for both their own behavior and that of their children, unconditional economic cooperation, the development of stable, successful interpersonal relationship. Critics of the New Right approaches argue that it is based on the idealized view of white middle class families as the desirable norm. So before I go to this, I need to mention one thing. What is the right choice? What is the right new right and the postmodernist perspective? So according to new right, are one can say the postmodernist perspective of family structure. They emphasize first of all the most suitable family structure is the nuclear family. This is the first point in the postmodernist perspective of life of family. First thing, nuclear family is the idealist one. Second thing, they are totally against about the different structures. I mean, they simply encourage, according to this approach, we need to discourage other form of living, other style of family, like lone parents. I mean, you need to discourage how it is the responsibility of the government, and I will inshallah mention in detail afterwards. So first of all, idealistic family structure is all about the nuclear family. One thing, need to discourage the other structures which are no more in norms. We need to discourage. Second, thirdly, cohabitation is killing for the social stability, and because it's simply ruining the family structure, the traditional concept of family. Third, fourth, we need to promote nuclear family on different scales. So basically, we talk about the postmodernist perspective of the family consists of four things. So why nuclear family is important? Nuclear family is important because it is the nuclear family which simply promotes confidence, which simply promotes primary socialization, simply promotes the culture, the traditions, the moral aspect, the religious background. And this is a kind of relationship in nuclear family when both parents play the vital part. They simply divide, they simply do on the equality basis. So this is what we have in primary structure. The second thing is against the cohabitation. When we talk about the cohabitation, there are certain things which are the flaws in cohabitation. um, for instance, one can say that, I mean, uh, I simply tell you about the cohabitation. Just give me 2 seconds for that, and I will continue because it's a call for prayer.
Thought.
So it's all about, I mean, as I mentioned, it's all about the cohabitation by its killing according to the new right, the postmodernist perspective. I mean, why cohabitation is, I mean, killing our fatal. First of all, I mean, it's not reliable at all. I mean, you have an open choice. You can simply leave your partner and just live again in cohabitation with other partners. So no stability at all. One thing. So obviously, when you are not loyal at all with each other, so you are no more concerned with the children. And according to the survey, most of the women living in cohabitation, they have to raise their kids without their partners. So obviously, it's simply some extra burden on the government to facilitate those women. And morally, one can say that it's very difficult for those women to engage in primary socialization. Obviously, in the absence of the other partner, just spouse, one can say that it's very difficult to not only play as a breadwinner, but at the same time engage yourself for the betterment of your kid. The emotional attachment, obviously, which can be provided by the typical nuclear family, is far away in cohabitation. One can say that in cohabitation, obviously, it's not that you are not bound to your partner. So one can say that normally it is generally observed that abusive language, violation, non-serious attitude towards your family is often seen in cohabitation. So according to postmodernist perspective of family tie, one can say that cohabitation is should be discouraged, and rather a traditional nuclear family is far more better for the stability of the family ties, because you not only give financial support, uh, medical care, but at the same time, very important, emotional and psychological boost to your kids, which is the essential part of the primary socialization. So this is we had, but the critics about the post modernist approach, they simply say, first of all, the things which are lacking in typical traditional nuclear family is restriction for the females. They don't have the job opportunities. They are bound to work within the home. They are bound to do sometimes they don't like to do. I mean, especially in Southeast Asia. So this is kind of a trend which can be seen. Again, it's a violence, no more job opportunities. The girls are supposed, or the women are supposed to be imprisoned while living in typical traditional nuclear family structure. And it is very hard to leave your spouse. I mean, the rules and regulations were very difficult for the traditional family. I mean, how can they separate with their partners? So these are the couple of things which are here according to the critics of postmodernist approach in reference to the typical traditional nuclear family. So we got last here, which is it's a modern optimism. Postmodern approach involve a very different interpretation of the family diversity. A family is whatever people want it to be. This rejects the idea of the family and argue that people construct relationship in the way they believe are acceptable and appropriate. Family groups, therefore, as seen as the structures in which individuals play out their personal life stories, narratives. They emphasize here is on choice. People increasingly make behavioral decisions that suits their particular needs, desire, and circumstances, regardless of what other may believe or think. In postmodern society, in every family, people work out their personal choices and lifestyles as best they can. As Stessi puts it, every family is an alternative family. For Elkins, the postmodernist family was characterized by a family that encompasses many different family forms, like traditional or nuclear family, two parent working, single parent, blended reconstituted family, adopted child, test tube, surrogate mother, co parent. From this perspective, there is no single correct way to be a family. It makes no sense to talk about their functions are oppressive and exploitative structures. Rather, we should celebrate differences. Family diversity should be accepted either because it points towards an optimistic change in family roles and relationship, or because we are powerless to prevent it. So this is the thing we have in postmodernism, optimism. I mean, they simply say. I mean, when we talk about the family, nuclear family. So I mean, the nuclear family is not the traditional to some extent. As the time progresses, there are so many things which can be added for the betterment of the family structure. So once we say that only the nuclear family, it means we have a choices. For instance, you are living in a nuclear family, so you can add certain things for your comfort zone. So if you can add, for instance, a person, people are having living together for a long time, but they don't have baby, they are desired to have kids, so they have choices. So if they adopt a couple of choices like test tube, like surrogate mother, so still they are having some kind of you can say flexibility in their family structure. They can simply add different things to support their relationship, and at the same time they emphasize on the relationship. They emphasize importance is your happiness. Important thing is your satisfaction within the area you are living, at the same time within the people you would like to live. So if you people are comfortable in relationship, then it will be better for the prosperity of the family and for the society. So this is we have in the postmodern optimism. The constant access exposure to new ideas, for example through globalization, makes people question traditional way of thinking and behaving. Custom and tradition, the way things are always have been done, have less influence on the once did. Diversity follows from the awareness and the freedom to make different choices. Different group of people accept or reject these changes to different degrees. This can be seen in different ethnic groups in UK. So this is the one thing I mentioned earlier as well. I mean, see, almost 40 to 50 years before, people are happy to have to follow certain rules and regulation, to follow their culture, their values. They give prominence, they give importance to their culture. It is supposed to be a proud moment when you are inheriting your culture at the same time. But now, with the passage of time, things have changed. I mean, you're simply consider yourself, you are free will. Your free will is more important these days, through media, to a lot of awareness, social networking. You simply exchange your views with each other. So by doing all these things, you have a choice. You are more, you can say, more openly to select whatever you like to. 50 to 40 years before, you don't have that choices. So obviously the people are the person, are even the adults who are living in this age, they can simply see we have more choices. So how one can say the traditional nuclear family is the best form, because they don't have their choices at that particular time or the period. So as the time progresses, time change, new arrivals, so many other options. So it is up to us how to develop a family structure, because we want to live in a family, so you can't force somebody for certain restrictions. So it's all about your own choice. And we are here just to know about the different ethnic groups in UK. There is a, you can say, it's a survey. At one extreme are those who keep to old fashion. In UK, one can say that the people who are very traditionally are the conservative, which love to follow the old traditions. They are not ready to accept the changes, social changes, especially in the society. At the other extreme, those who embrace modern individualism, they were where single parenthood or divorce are openly accepted. So still, the Black Caribbeans are obviously there. They are close to this point. I mean, we have the liberty, and as I mentioned many times before in my previous lectures, that especially the Afro-Caribbean women, they like to live alone. I mean, without their spouses, and raising their kids in the presence of their grandmother. Postmodernist modern approaches to the family have drawn attention to many changes in family life and relationship in some modern industrial society. The older theory still seems to be about times and places where these changes have not happened. So one can say that the diversity of the family life is also a feature of more industrial societies. There is a less diversity on the whole in developing countries, in many of which strong family ties, often with strong pressure to marry young and for life, and with fairly fixed gender roles, remain strong. So still in Asia, are in the traditional countries, which are, you can say, are considered to be developing countries, where there is no powerful interference of social media. One can say that still people love to live in a traditional way, and they follow the instructions they have already decided, and the roles they are playing, what they're supposed to do, what should not be done, how they are close to their religion. And one can say that in developing countries, generally in Asia, I always talk about Asia. I mean, their things are different. The family ties are more stronger as compared to the developed countries. So this is we have for today. Hope to see you tomorrow with the state and the social policy as influences on the family. So till tomorrow, take great care of yourself and the people around you. Allah Hafiz.